Merry New Year! This is Kanan from Sprague Homestead. Have you met Nikki? So this year we are sending 2020 straight out the door, and we are going to talk about the five best things that have happened to you in 2020. So the first thing we had in there was we are going to talk about the best tool you were either given or you were bought. So what was the best tool you either were given or bought this year?
Let's see. Well, I'm going to kind of cheat here a little bit too. We borrowed one for a while. So we had the Bobcat skid steer from my dad's company for a while, and we used it for what? 4 or 5 months. So we cleared the spot for the shed. We got everything ready for the mudroom, the sunroom. We put in most of the fence posts with it. I did some fence line work with it. We did all kinds of stuff with it. I used the holy heck out of it for about 4 or 5 months before it had to head out of here to go back to a job. Probably the best thing that I bought this year, I got a new pocket hose. And I know everybody's probably like, what? We use the pocket hoses in the winter because they drain out better than anything else. And so my old one busted. I got a new one this year. And it is like 10 times better than the old one that I had. And I got a new sprayer with it. So I am watering the rabbits in style and without having too many freezing problems, which is always good this time of year. How about you? What did you get?
So if you guys follow us a lot, you know that we finally got all of the big construction done. Like Nikki said, we did sunroom, the mudroom, and a bunch of other stuff. And my thing, the best thing I bought a bunch of disposable paintbrushes. I got a lot of painting done this year. So with the extensions, they were all mostly roller, thankfully, but there's a lot of trim and a lot of just under the eaves and everything else. I got a lot of painting done, and I bought a lot of paintbrushes, and they have just knocked it out.
And paint cups and lots of paint stuff.
Painting stuff. I got a lot of that stuff, and I used it a lot this year. So the second thing we were going to talk about was going to be either the biggest accomplishment or your best accomplishment this year on your homestead. What do you got?
Definitely the sun and mudrooms. We kind of did them at the same time. So the house extensions, I have been trying to do these for like 5 years. And even though I'm not done with the insides, just knowing that the outsides are done, I'm going to get the inside, at least of the sunroom, done so I can start my seeds. Not in my living room, not taking up half the house this year. I am so excited. What about you?
I'm going to go with echo that one. I'm happy to have the sunroom and the mudroom on there. Don't track mud in the house anymore when we're coming from chores in the winter when it's wet and snowy.
Especially the dogs.
I don't have to deal with seeds blocking up half of my deal. We can hang clothes inside in the sunroom now to dry versus racks all spread out to the living room. And I think beyond that, we got our extra storage building right at the very end, right in October. It took 8 days to get it. We pushed hard, but I tell you what, every time I walk by that building, it just makes me happy to know that it's there. We got storage and things aren't sitting out in the weather this year. So everybody's got skills they want to learn and they did learn. So we're going to choose this down to one skill that we learned this year in 2020. What is your one skill?
Okay, I'm not going to listen to him. I didn't have just one skill. So there's 2 things that I learned this year that were huge for me. One, I finally banded my own goats this year. We usually sell them so quick that we've never really bothered. But this year we had a lot of people wanting wethers. And so I've had the bander forever. So we finally banded our first goats. I think I had built it up in my mind that it was going to be far scarier than it was. And a far bigger deal, and that the goats were going to be uncomfortable. And I think the only thing that they found uncomfortable was when I swabbed alcohol on them. And just because it was a little cool and a little shocking, like, hey, mom's getting a little friendly. Other than that, they didn't seem to care one bit. The other thing that I learned how to do, we have had our tractor for 5 years, give or take. And I grew up around tractors, but I will admit that there are a lot of things that I never learned how to do. And use the post hole auger was a first for me. And it doesn't have power down, so it's kind of a little daunting to use here in case you hit rocks, it can shoot the auger out of the hole if it's not very deep, as we've had happen. So I was a little afraid to learn how to do it very well, but I drilled the holy heck out of some holes this year, so I feel unstoppable. I'm going to get these fences in this year. How about you? What did you learn?
I tell you the thing I probably learned was through failure this year, and that was the commercial poultry option. So in the past, we've always done chickens, and yes, we hatch some, and we butcher basically the end of the year. You know, we had, 20, 25 roosters this year. That's kind of normal. Last year we did some Cornish cross. We did about 20 or so. We kept half. Nikki's parents took the other half. This year we got 105 or 106 in a box.
Yeah.
And we tried to do it commercially, and we were going to deliver about 65-ish or so on the same day in, July or August? Something like that.
Something like that.
Like
August,
middle summer and else. And I tell you what, we completely missed the target on those. And I think the thing I learned, the one skill out of that, is to how to and not be a commercial poultry farmer. We learned a lot. We learned how to do it, how to make money on it, but at the same time, we learned a lot of things through hardship and failure of don't do this again if we're going to do commercial chickens again.
Yeah, the raising the birds itself wasn't too bad. It was trying to making ourselves believe we could butcher 65 by ourselves in one day.
Yeah.
And then there was a lot of other things to it. But yeah, that was probably the biggest thing. I like that. What animal or bird did we either add to the farm or really get some mastery of, or something, kind of related? What did you have?
I don't think I necessarily learned anything new. And of course, I don't usually buy the animals, so I can't really say I added anything. I'll tell you the thing I feel like I mastered this year was butchering rabbits for speed and accuracy. And why I say that is over the last 4 or 5 years, I've done hundreds and hundreds of rabbits. But this year I had to take that and actually be a teacher. So when Nikki did her rabbit class in September, I had to... October?
Yeah, I remember.
October.
We rescheduled.
So anyway, when we did the class, I actually had to teach how to butcher a rabbit. And people here that attended the class, they have done rabbit stuff on their other one. One of the guys said it took him an hour to do one rabbit. And when I said, well, I'm going to show you how to do it, and you're going to do this in at least 12 minutes, or, if you have 2 people, you can do it down 6. He didn't believe me at all, I don't think. I think there was some skepticism because he really, when he tried one, didn't really kind of have to do it. So I think the mastery of it is that I guess I have a system now developed and an order that I can teach pretty much anybody that wants to learn how to do it efficiently, quickly, and, I guess get it kind of all the fears out of the way. You'll just knock it out of the park and be ready to go. How about you?
Well, I added the quail. In fact, we've got quail hatching in the back room right now. We've done some new rabbit breeds and we've done some other stuff, but the big thing is we added a whole new quail program. Quail are one of the few things I had never raised before. I've done pheasants and ducks and geese and all the rest, but we added quail. I like them. I think we're going to stick with them for a while. In fact, we are probably going to do a Coturnix quail raising 101 class in the spring, because I really do see a lot of benefit to raising these little guys.
Mm-hmm. Benefits over chickens and other poultry.
Yeah, especially if you're in a smaller setting, and I can say that they don't do this. This was a rooster yesterday, so the quail kind of and it's kind of cute. And they're trying to peck you, and you're like, oh, that doesn't even hurt. I'm all about something that doesn't hurt at this point. So,
That's right.
All right, so to finish this thing up, the last one we had is, what was your biggest, best, greatest moment of the year?
Mine's easy. So through all the construction this year, we got to the end where the house was pretty much done, the mudroom was done, the sunroom was done, painting was done. We get to middle to late October, and I remember the last day, I had like an hour left of sheeting out on the storage barn. So I was out there by myself, and I was, out there sheeting off the last little bits with a nail gun. And I remember shutting the compressor off and standing back and just doing like a full 360 on the farm. And I just thought, man, look at all the stuff we've done this year. You got this other building in. We can start, taking all these tools that have set out for years in the weather over winter, collected snow, they've rusted, everything else. I have a place to put them. I had a new car that was in there. And all this other stuff we had planned to put in this building now is going to happen. And there's nothing laying out anymore. Nothing that is going to rust, and there's no equipment laying out that's going to be damaged from weather and that. And we drove the quad in that day. I remember putting the quad in there and thinking, yes, what a successful year this has been. What about you? What is your best moment of 2020?
My best moment came before the world got crazy. So, as everybody knows, all my rabbit shows got canceled. I went to the show in Astoria in February and almost did not drive to Homestead in March. Because by then we were starting to hear all about COVID. Nobody was shutting anything down yet. But it was starting to be a thing, and I thought, I don't know, it's a 6-hour drive one way. My girlfriend in town, who usually goes with me, couldn't go. But I talked myself into it, and I went, and in the second show, so there was 3 actual shows, I won Best of Breed in all 3, if I remember right. But in the second show, when my homegrown buck, who is, I think, 3 generations now of my own breeding, went up for Best of Show, for that show, we didn't win Best, but we won Reserve and Show, and it was only like the 7th time that a Harlequin has ever won a Reserve and Show at a show in like the history of our breed. And it did happen for Nancy Richmond in Idaho, who is on my board of directors and a gal I know pretty well. Nancy won one like a month and a half ago. So 2 Harlequins won a Reserve and Show this year, which is huge stuff. But I've only been doing show rabbits for 5 years. And I'm sure anybody who watches our videos knows that I put a lot of time and energy into the rabbits. So it was a really big deal. And to be honest, I missed most of it because I was over. I never watch them because I think, oh, well, whatever. We're up there representing, but we're never going to get it. And so I was working with another lady who had come to buy a rabbit. And I missed what was said. And my friends all started screaming and yelling for me. And I thought maybe my rabbit had fallen off a table and died. It does happen, or gotten injured. And they kept flagging me and yelling and screaming. And so I came over there and they were like, you won a Reserve and Show. And, yeah, it's huge. I know if you don't show rabbits, it probably doesn't sound like much, but it's huge. There was hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of rabbits at this show, and winning a Reserve and Show, at least in that second show, that judge is basically telling you that you have the second nicest animal in hundreds of rabbits that were there. So it was pretty big. It was a pretty big deal. So, and then we've never shown again. That was it. We haven't made it to a show since. Everything's been canceled. I went out with a bang for 2020. I ended my 2020 show year is just about as big as I could go. So that was my biggest moment.
So those were our 5 best things going out of 2020. So we asked you guys last week to take the challenge and put your 5 up. We've already watched one video. We know we have another commitment that we'll post up today also, which is going to be New Year's Eve. And hopefully we get up tomorrow after we're filming this and it's in the morning, and all day long we get tagged either on Facebook or Instagram or YouTube. Tag us in anything you put up so that we can spend all day watching the awesomeness you guys have experienced in 2020. And we're going to send this sucker out at the door into 2021 with all positive vibes.
And don't forget, if you don't have a YouTube channel and you want to play along, it's not too late. If you've got Instagram, Facebook, heck, if you don't have any of it, just drop us some things in the comments. Answer those same questions. We already had Celeste from South Africa do that same thing. We just want to hear the positive stuff. What happened on your homestead and in your life this year? And find that silver lining in the absolute suck, which was 2020.
All right, guys, so the challenge is on you. Get us some stuff tomorrow. Let's have all day long where we can watch all the awesomeness that was 2020 and none of the bad stuff. So with that, we'll see you next time. Thanks for watching Sprague Homestead. Kanan saying we'll see you in 2021.
Happy homesteading!
Dear life.